Welcome back, Flutter devs, to the third part of our API course series. In this tutorial, we are diving into how to handle complex models in API calls in Flutter. This step will simplify working with detailed and nested JSON response. Stay tuned as we refine your API integration skills. Before we begin coding, let's look at the JSON response we'll be working with. Imagine you're fetching random user data and the API returns this response. In my previous model tutorial, I talked about how we can make use of simple JSON file. But in this tutorial, we'll be talking about how we can make use of complex one like the nested JSON file. And on my screen here, you can see I have results which takes list of map. And inside the map, we have the gender, which has the female value. And then we have name, which takes another map. And inside this map, we have the title, which has the value of miss. And then first, which has this value. And last, which has this value. Then after that, we now have the location again, which takes a map, which has street. And then takes another map, which has number, and this number. And then we have name and this name. So we're going to look at how we can work with this kind of complex JSON file. So let me just hide this so that you can see. So we have this, we have this, we have this, and then we have this, we have this. We'll look at how we can work with a complex JSON file like this, which contains nested objects. We're going to pick the name, the location, the date of birth, and the picture. And then maybe we can add the gender or the nationality to it. So let's look at how we can do this. The first thing we're going to do is that we're going to create a model file inside our lib folder. So I'm going to come here and say model dot that. And now let's start with the first model. The first model is going to be class, and then we can say name. And this name takes the following. That's title, first name, and last name. So we're going to go back and then we're going to say final string, and then we can say title, and also final string, we can say first name, and final string, we can say last name. And let's create a constructor for this. And here we have our first model. Look at the semicolon here. Let's see. We have our first model. Let's go back to our JSON file. The next one is going to be the location. And inside this location, we're going to be picking the street, and we're going to pick the city, the state, and the country. So let's go back. So for the location, we're going to have class, and then location. And then the location is going to take final. And then we have, let's look at it. We have the street. So we're going to come here and we're going to say street. Then we can give it a name, my street. So we need to go and create a class of street. So come here, and then we can say class, and then we can call it street. And yeah, so the street is going to take the following. It's going to take number and then name. So we can come, and the number is an integer, so we can say final int and number, and then final string, and then we can say name. And let's create a constructor for this. Const street, and yeah. So let's add the semicolon. For the location, what other field do we have? We can come back here and let's check. We have the city, we have the state, and we have the country. Let's add this for and post code. Let's go back. So I can say final string. We have the city. Final string. We have the country. Final string. else? We have the city, states, and the postcode. Okay, states, and then final int postcode. Yeah, let's create a constructor for this. So we can take const and location, and let's add. So while we're saving it, we'll remove our curly bracket and this, or so comma here. Let's add semicolon here, and let's save this. And now we have a model for location. Now let's go back to our JSON file and see what else we are still adding. We're going to be adding the date of birth and the picture. So you can come here and then let's look at the date of birth. We just have date and age for this. So you can come here and then we can say class and say, let's call it DOP. And yeah, final. Then let's go and check our date. What format is it in? So you notice it's of date time. So you can come here and say date time, and then you can say my date. And lastly, we can add the next one, which is the age. Yeah. So we can say age. It's an integer. So int age, and let's add semicolon here. Now let's create a constructor for this. Const, and we can say DOB, a comma here. So I'll format it, semicolon here. And the last one we're going to be creating is the picture. Yeah, we're just going to make use of the thumbnail. So let's go back here and then we can say, let's come down here and then we say class, and then let's give it the name picture, and yeah, final string image. Let's give it thumb. Let's give it name thumbnail. Sorry, thumbnail. And yeah, and then we can say constant picture, and yeah, for good. We need to now create a user model that we're going to have all this class as its parameter, and that's what we're going to be making use of when we are passing our data to our model. So to do that, we're simply going to come here and then we're going to say class, and let's call it user model, and then we can now say final of name, and then we have name. The next one is going to be final of location, and we have location, followed by we have the street is inside the location, so we don't have to. So the next one is date of birth, and then we have picture. So we can say final, final DOP, and have date, and we can have date of birth. Yeah, and the last one is going to be final of picture, and then we can have picture. Yeah, so let's create a constructor for it. So we can say constant, and then we can say user model. Yeah, and with this now we can use our model, which is the user model, to pass data that we're getting from our API call. Let's make the API call and use the model to pass the data. So how am I going to do that? Remember, I already added my HTTP package to my prospect.yam, and then I imported the package into the file where I'm going to be working. If you don't understand how to do this, you can check my first tutorial on this series. So I'm going to come here, and then I'm going to create a function to fetch our data. So it's a feature void, and then we can call it fetch complex API and doesn't take a parameter, then you can add an async word here. And yeah, so the first thing we're going to do is that we're going to have an http dot get, and this is going to take URL, and then the URL is going to be final, and then we can say URL equals to URI dot pass, and we're simply going to paste our URL here. So let's go back to our JSON file, and then this is our URL. Let's go back and then let's paste this there, and yeah, we have this. And so we are going to save this inside a variable called final response. And let's remember to add our await keyword here. And yeah, we're good now. So, and with this, we have access to the response dot body. So, the body simply means the JSON file here that we're going to be working with. So we're going to store this. So what we're going to be doing now is that we're going to convert this from a JSON string. If we look at this, is a string. So we're going to convert it from a JSON string to a Dart object so that we can make use of it in our code. So to do that, we're simply going to come here and say final. Let's store it here inside the variable and say JSON the code, and now we can paste, and now we can put this inside now we can put this as our source. Yeah. So before we do that, let's have a condition statement which says if response dot status code is equals to 200. Yeah. So then you can do this, and let's paste this. Let's cut this and paste it here. Yeah, we're good now. So like this, now we have access to our JSON file inside our code. So what we're going to be doing next is that let's go back to our code and let me show you something. Now we have a map of results, and this result has a value of list. So in order to access this list, we need to make use of this result, and to do that, we're simply going to come back here, and then we can say final, and then we can call it my data equals to JSON, and then we can say results. So like this, we have access to all the results. And now the next thing we're going to do now is that we're going to create an empty list, which is going to be a list of type. Because we are going to make our list to be of type user model, we need to say list of user model, and then we can call it data. And let's make this empty list for now. And now we're going to come back here, and we're going to map the Dart object that we have here. We're going to map it to become of type user, to become a list of type user model. And to do that, we're simply going to come here, and then we can say data equals to my data dot map. Yeah. And then it's going to be E. Then we can have this. You can say return. Let's add semicolon here. And then we can return the user model. Yeah. So yeah, I'm getting an error here. I need to change this from so I need to change this from picture, because this is a default class in that already. So and my picture here is of small letter. So let's change this. So this is going to be picture. Yeah, it's better now. I can say my picture, and let's change this also to my picture. Let's save this and go back to our main.dat. So we need to change this from and make this my picture. Yeah. So we're going to do now is that we're going to come here, and then we're going to say final, and we can say my DOP. We can say DOP. And yeah, for each, you can say E at. So let's go and look at. So to have access to our each, we're going to simply say DOP and then date. So you can say DOP and yeah, we have each. And for my date, we can also come here and say E at DOP, and then we have the date. Yeah. So let's add comma here and then semicolon. No, sorry, we don't need to add comma there. We can add comma here, we can add it here, and then we can add semicolon here. Yeah. And can save this, and if I copy this now, I can copy this now and I can use it here, and I'm fine. So the next one is going to be the location. So let's come here and we can say final. We can call it my location, which is going to take the location. And yeah, this takes city, country, street, and postcode. So we're just going to say E at, let's go and check it. So let's look at the location. We have location, then we have city, country, and that. So we're going to come to the street very soon. So we're just going to copy this and let's go back. So we can say this, no, we can say this, and then we can have this here. We can say city, and then for this, we can come here and we can have this location. Sorry, we need to add the E, and then we can come here, and then we can say country. And yeah, for my street also, I'm going to leave the street for now, and then let's finish with the rest. So for this, we can say E, and then we can paste this here, and then we can have post code, and the last one here we can say E, and yeah, location, and yeah, we have street, we have state, and this is going to take a semicolon at the back. Let's add comma here. And for our my street, we are now going to come out here again, and then I'm going to say final, and I can call it my street, and I can say street, yeah. So this is going to take name and number. So to do that, we're simply going to say E, and let's check this now. You can see it's going to be E of location, street, and then number, and then name. So let's go back. We can say location, and the next one is going to be street, and then last one is going to be the name. And let's copy this to save time. And yeah, let's copy this to save time. So I'm going to come here and paste this here, and then we can have this as the number. Let's come here and then semicolon, and yeah, we can have this as my street. Yeah, all good. So we can come back here now and say this is going to be my location, and we are good with this. And the next one is the name. So we're going to come here, and then we can say final, and we can give it name also, and we can say this is going to take the name, and the title, first name and last name is going to be, let's check our file just to be sure. So we have name and we have title, first and last. The reason why I'm being very careful is because you must ensure that the spellings are correct, or else you won't get your data. So we have this here. So we have this as name, and then the next one is going to be the title, and then this is going to, so let's just copy this, and yeah, paste this here, and then paste this here, and then this is going to be title. This is title already. This is going to be, let's check what we have here, first and then last. So this is just going to be first, and the next one is going to be last, and then we can add comma here, then semicolon. Yeah, and yeah, we have name there, and the last one is my picture. So we can come here and say final, and say picture, and let's give it. So come here, we can say, let's look how we save this here. So we have this as picture here. Okay, so we can say picture, and this takes just thumbnail. So let's look at our, so we have this as, yeah, we have this as picture here. Let's just copy this, and let's go back to our code, and I'm going to make use of the here, and you can say this comma, and yeah, we're good. Are we? Okay, so we can't give this same name, so let's call this my picture. Yeah, and we are good now. So I can copy this, then I can paste it here, and now we're good. So what have I done now? And this E simply means that the data inside my data list, we are iterating through those data, and then we are getting each value of those key, and then we are assigning them to and we are passing them to our new model. So the next thing we're going to be doing now is that we're going to make use of our data which we have passed to our model, and to do that we're simply going to go inside the scaffold and then body, and let's make use of our list view dot builder, and then this is going to take context and index, and then we can now return a list type, and then we can say title. But before we do that, we're just going to do something. We're going to come here, and then let's create a variable. We can say final. If for name we can call it, we can say, okay, let's call it post equals to the, so we are saying that post equals to this data at each index. So post equals to this data at each index. So also let's add the item count to this. Item count, and we can say data dot length. Yeah. So now we can make use of this inside our list type. So for the title is going to be test widget, and we can say post dot. You can see you can see immediately I write the post, you can see it's of type user model. So I can say dot. I can have access to the, let's make use of the name, and then we can have access to the, it's either the first name, last name, or, so let's make use of the first name. The next one is going to be subtitle, which is going to be test also, and then we can say post dot, and for this one let's make use of the date of birth, and then let's just make use of the age. We're getting an error, argument type it, so we can say dot to string, and yeah, we're good. And the last one I'm going to be adding is their thumbnail. So we can come here, we can say leading, and then we can make use of our circular avatar. And then for the background image, we're simply going to say asset image, and then we can say post dot my picture, and then dot thumbnail. And yeah, we're good. Now after saving this, I'm going to add to my the scaffold a floating action button so that I can fetch the data. And this is going to a floating action button which takes onPress, and for the onPress I'm going to have this, and let's give it a child which we're going to call test, which is going to take test widget, and then we can say fetch data. Let's add comma here in order to format it. Let's save this. So we have fetch data here. So our function, which is fetch complex data, we're going to make use of it now inside our onPress. So we can say fetch complex data. Let's add this. So let's check what we've been doing so far, and then so let's save this and let's fetch data. Now we're getting these errors which says unhandled exception. Type null is not a subtype of list dynamic. So let's go through our code and see where we made the error. So yeah, if you check the results we have here, we have S at the back of our results, and we're just writing results here without S. So we're going to add S here, and let's fetch our data. And yeah, you can see now that we're getting a different error from the first one we got. So this error now is saying that type map of string and dynamic is not a subtype of type string. So where is this error coming from? Yeah, if you check the thumbnail that we have here, let's go back to our JSON file. You can see inside our JSON file that for the thumbnail we have where's the thumbnail? Yeah, for the thumbnail we have the picture first. So we've not added this picture to it. So let's come back and then let's add. Okay, sorry. For the thumbnail, we can see that we're only making use of the picture. We are not making use of the thumbnail key. So let's add the thumbnail. Then we can say yeah. And yeah, let's save this now and let's fetch our data again. And we're still getting error. So the next error we are getting is because unhandled exception, type string is not a subtype of date type. Okay, so now if you look at our model here, you can see that for our date of birth, come down here, you can see that my date is of type date time. So instead of making use of string, we're going to go back to the main.dat, and then we're going to convert this from string to type date time. So let's look for so this is going to be date time dot pass, and then we can put this here. And yeah, we can save this now. And after saving this, let's fetch data again. Let's see where we're getting. So we're getting type string is not a subtype of integer. The reason we're getting this error is because the postcode are integer sometimes, and for some of this data they are string. So we're simply going to make use of dynamic instead of this, so that whatever data type it comes out, it can assume the data type. And let's save this. And because this is a stateful widget, we are updating the value of my data. We're simply going to make use of our set state, and then we're going to have this inside our set state. And yeah, and also remember to add toList to our map method, because the map method will return an iterable, which is not a list. So you need to convert it from an iterable to a list so that you can be able to have it, so that you can have it stored inside this data list. And let's save this now. And then we can click on this fetch data button. And now you can see we have our data on our mobile app screen. So in this tutorial, we tackled complex model for API calls, breaking down a nested JSON structure into that class and integrating it into our Flutter app. This approach keeps your code modular and easy to manage. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more Flutter content. See you in the next video.